Hello and welcome to my most recent video reviewing a set of budget-friendly scope rings that will ultimately be paired with one of the budget-friendly scopes that I am reviewing. In this case, it will be the Athlon Neos. But before I get into looking at these, I am going to give you the specs. They are referred to as the Triton ZeroShift high performance 1-inch scope rings. They have a 1-inch center height. They are 6061 T6 aluminum. They are anodized black, though the manufacturer does not specify what sort of anodization they use. It does use T15 screws for both the ring cap and the clamp on the base. It did come with one of those L-shaped T15 Allen keys and an additional screw for the cap and the clamp. At the time that I purchased these, and currently in August of 2025, they were $16.99 on the old Amazons. So, that being said, we are going to weigh them real quick, just to see where they come up. Get all this stuff piled on the scale. All the little bits and pieces, if I can drop them. And we are coming up with 3.1 ounces. When I weighed it the other day, it was 3.2, but 3.1 is close enough. So we can pull all these back off of here so we can now get a closer look at them. There we go. First thing to point out is that we have two different size screws, so they are not interchangeable between the clamp and the ring. The ring having the smaller one, the clamp obviously using the larger one as you would want so that it can resist some of that extra torque without either damaging the inside of this clamp or trying to mushroom its way through. This one that's already assembled or disassembled, we'll take a quick look at it. Have our logo on the side, and then we're going to look inside here. I do not see or feel, there's maybe one little tiny line that you can see there, but I do not feel it, so I'm not going to call it an issue. Other than that, the rest of it looks really good. And then they've done an effort to soften the edges on all of this. Chamfered some of it, rounded other bits off so that you don't have any snag points or areas that are more likely to ding and lose their finish. On the bottom we have our recoil lug that goes out to the edge and will engage with our clamp and prevent it from wanting to tilt, which I always like that. And then as far as our anodization in our holes, because these are pass-through holes, the anodization goes all the way through and gets all of the threads, which is just going to give them that extra durability over time. And then down in the hole, again, we have these little ports down here that allows that material and process to get all the way down in there, and so we have full anodization of those screws or threads as well. And to that point, these have been torqued down once and we don't see any aluminum transfer, or you might see a little bit of silver on there if it was bare aluminum, so that's good. On the cap, my one issue with these caps, and I realize that it has this large lug right here, is I don't love how thin that corner is right there. I wish they would have left this up a little bit and gave us a little bit more engagement surface right in there. So that's one thing I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like those narrow places on aluminum where, over time it could split. And once it starts to split, then the ring is trash. But aside from that, the machining work looks good. Again, I don't see any marks on the inside, and I do not feel any. Do see one little mark there. That might have been from when I torqued it. Maybe caught the edge of a thread or something as it was being assembled or disassembled at some point. So I'm not going to ding them for that. They do show us on the side that it is an 18-inch-pound maximum torque. And somewhere on this one, what was it on the other one? Oh, it's on the base. There it is. On the base it says 30 inch-pounds. That has more to do with the aluminum than it does with the actual steel screw. Obviously you could break either, but in most cases the threads in here are going to get damaged before you break the screw. I'll set that one over there and take a quick look at this one. don't feel anything on the inside, nor do I see anything in there. And on the outside, machining work looks just as good as the other one. So I'm going to say that those are good to go. I will get this transferred over to the fixture, and we will get a scope mounted up and get it torqued and see how it performs. I have it set up now to look at these rings on the fixture. Both are a little bit loose so that we can see how much play they have. And that is to say there's plenty of room in there. They're not as loose as some of the other ones we've seen so far, but they definitely are generous with their amount of extra space they have. So we get that pushed against the lug, just snugged up a little bit. And then, see, those are tight. And then since I already had this set at 18 inch-pounds from torquing a scope onto a rifle, I'm just going to start with that. Get these snugged up a little bit more before they get the torque. I went ahead and set that to 30 inch-pounds. Go ahead and give them the full torque load that it states there on the clamp. And all four held, now with shoes. Go ahead and break them loose. These threads feel fine. Those ones are good. And I'm just spinning this to see if I feel any evidence of galling or if a broken thread is catching in there. And they are. 4 of them are totally fine, no issues. Go ahead and get these tightened up one more time. Thought I felt something there, but it was just the clamp settling against the pick rail. Had me worried. All right. Just gonna remember not to over torque these because we're gonna hit them with the torque wrench again. This will be at least the 3rd time that these rings have been torqued. All right. And we're good. We're gonna get our Athlon Neos scope set in there, nice and free, no gaps, so we're good there. And then this one, for whatever reason, this turret is a little heavy on the one side, so I'm gonna have to hold on to it just a little bit, or set it off center a bit so that I can get this cap started and get just a little bit of tension on it so that it won't try to flip over on me. All right. Then I'm gonna pause this and get these all sorted out and be right back. So I have the rings set and the scope is in there properly. There are no gaps along the top or the bottom. There is plenty of movement in there. It's definitely not binding. And we will go ahead and check the gap on these before we start tightening them down. We're good there, good there, good there, and good on that side. So what I'm going to do is just gently apply a little bit of torque to these. Try to do it as evenly as possible so that we don't have to have a lot of movement in the cap while we're applying torque in a minute. I'm going to check these gaps one more time before I start going after it with the torque wrench. Good, 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 and good. And that is the 5,000 shim. So now we will take our torque driver, we'll set to 18 inch-pounds, and start giving these guys a little bit of torque. I'm going to go around this pattern at least twice, once to this, add a little bit more before I actually give it the whole 18 pounds, because I do have some concerns with this construction that these corners are going to try to bend down just because they're not well supported towards the outside. Yeah, there's a more rotation in those screws than there really should be. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give it the torque. Just from what I'm feeling, I am a little concerned that we're gonna lose all of our gap. We'll see momentarily. Alright, so that is torqued. Nope, this is the 5,000, so there's room there. It's trying to start there but won't go, and it's trying to start there but doesn't want to go. So with the 2,000s obviously over here, we're fine. On this side, no, doesn't want to start. Getting a little bit more there, like there's space in the middle. That's my concern, is there out there is nothing, but in the middle where there's more support, we're able to get some insertion on that side. Same here, we're getting nothing at the edge, but we're getting in there in the middle. So that's what's going on, is these corners are bending down under the torque and bottoming out, which not ideal. The scope is definitely in there nice and tight. It's not moving around, but I would rather had seen this whole area just be a little bit more robust to resist that torque and bending, because I think there is enough gap there that you would just be on the scope tube and not touching the base. But with this design, they are causing the corners to bottom out. That being said, I'm going to pop a couple of these out of here just to look at them. See if we're getting any thread issues. Came out nice and smooth. There's no galling or anything. We're definitely wearing. You can see how there's like a slight difference in the darkness of the phosphate finish on there. So that's definitely rubbing on the anodization. And we're seeing where the screw is cutting into the anodization on the top. You know where I'll retorque this when I'm done, and then we'll check one down here. And we're seeing sort of the same thing, where it's definitely getting dug in to that ring. All right, well now we know. Go ahead and retorque those, because I am going to be leaving these rings on this scope. And while not ideal, they seem okay. I'm not going to give them a clean bill of health and a pass just because we did lose all of that gap, and the shoulders of those caps are bottomed out against the base. With that being said, I would like to thank everybody that's made it this far. And if you liked what you saw, hit that like button. If you want to see more of this sort of content, go ahead and subscribe and get your notifications. And if you have opinions, or if you think I've done something completely wrong, or more importantly, if you have a suggestion for a set of rings you'd like me to try out, leave me a comment and I'll look into it. I'll just thank you guys one more time, and I will see you in the next video.